Welcome in, Cowboys Nation, episode 13 of the Sky Into Eye show. We are fresh off of the joint practice. Cowboys, Rams, LA comes out to Oxnard to get busy here with the Cowboys for the first joint practice. I'm not sure if they're going to do it again. I know Mike McCarthy did that before, but if not, there's some things to take away. And we had two-eye boots on the ground, seeing it all, hearing it all. We have some exclusive stuff for you. You do not want to miss this episode. And we're going to jump straight into it, two-eye. But before that, how you doing? Breathe a little bit. It's a busy day, huh?
No, I'm tired. Like it's
Yeah.
getting into the facility was sold out today. This is my first camp, so I didn't really know like how crowded it was gonna be and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like just trying to get there, trying to get comfortable, trying to get a feel for everything. They worked the defense on one side against their offense, and they worked the offense on one side against their defense. So it's kind of hard because I do feel like some people just get entrenched with the offense. They don't want to go over to the defense, but I had to tell myself like, you got to go look
Back and
over there at the
forth. Yeah.
defense. Yeah, I had to do back and forth. So it's a lot of cardio. It's a lot of information to take in. I'm over here with my notepad like this the whole time.
Hey, look,
Like
that's why we're
serious.
talking to you, because we know that you are dialed in to the things that Cowboys Nation wants to listen to and hear about.
Mhm.
So let's just get right into it. We're going to jump all over the place, Cowboys Nation. There's a lot that went on in today's practice. And I want to start with what I started with the other day when I said, the things I was watching for, what was on my
Mhm.
watch list, the trenches. And right off
Mhm.
the bat, early in practice, it seemed like the Rams was like, oh, we're not here for play,
Oh yeah.
and the Cowboys had to kind of gear up to match the energy. So from your viewpoint, how did that play out early on? And did the Cowboys end up matching that, or was it just the Rams just physically outdoing the Cowboys all
Mm,
practice?
yeah, I mean, well, number 1, like, the Rams aren't in an install. They
Mm,
are, they are accustomed to the things that they've been doing defensively. Obviously, this young defensive line that they have is one of the best up and coming in the league with Brendan Fisk, Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, of course. And so they just like they came out and they did seem like they were just a tick faster than the Dallas offense in the beginning. Dallas opted to try to run the ball at the beginning, and it was, I mean, it was slim pickings. They were crashing. They also were run blitzing quite a bit. I touched base with a couple players after practice, like, were y'all expecting for them to run blitz as much as you could? And I will say, this is what I will say to the fans and people who are panicking. Every player I talked to didn't seem panicked. They took this as tape and like an opportunity to learn from themselves. But I will say that the Rams came out and they seemed a little bit more chippy, and they seemed just a tad bit more physically imposing at the beginning of practice, and it like the Cowboys just struggled to get anything on the ground. They also were doing some twists and stuff like that, and I think that some of the exchanges weren't as clean as they needed to be between the offensive line, and obviously this offensive line is really trying to go duo, double team, release, and
counters.
get to the next level. There was some timing issues when like with the releases, or the guys climbing weren't getting there at the right time, like at the right time. It's not that they were just kind of getting driven off the line. It was more so timing, rhythm, exchanges, communication, stuff that can be cleaned up. But I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it was pretty in the beginning, because it wasn't.
That's
It
what
wasn't.
it's that's how it came across, at least via Twitter. But then it seemed like later in practice we saw a couple of these guys get loose a little bit. Jaden Blue has some runs there. Javonte Williams looks spry, and I said this about Javonte Williams. He's a pads guy. He's
Hmm.
he's going to be a preseason guy, joint practice guy, because he is heavy behind his pads, and you saw
Hmm.
it on the one run when that cornerback towards the end of it with Cooper Beebe leading out was like, I guess he must have thought it was time, it was play time. Like, nah, Javonte Williams brought it and kind of bowled him over a little bit. So it seemed like he
Hmm.
got going, but overall, the collective feeling feels like, all right, this run game is still ways away. They're trying to
Yeah.
figure this thing out.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. And shout out to the quarterback, because he said enough of this. they they went 11-12 and tossed that thing around the yard, and I do think it took the offense some time too. Again, like, so obviously they're trying to run the ball at first. What they did eventually was take advantage of the fact that the Rams defense was getting upfield, and they started doing little short things behind them, little small intermediate things like in the flats. Also too, just trying to do like little smoke screens and stuff with the wide receivers, just get them some space, get these guys to back up a little bit, because they were playing kind of hair on fire Isk. I felt like their linebackers came down. I felt like their linebackers came down and tackled well, but Dallas was trying to get the pressure off of them. And once they started finding some matchups with Cavante Turpin over the middle, getting Ferg out there, obviously CD Lamb, they were doing some quick outs to him, and they just got some of that pressure off. Then they started attacking downfield, and that's when you saw the run game kind of open up a little bit for some of these guys, like a Jadon Blue, like a Javante Williams, like you were talking about, getting a little bit more space. Hunter Lipke had a few nice runs. Like, it wasn't bad all practice, but it did feel like it took the Cowboys offense a while to figure out what was going to work against this Rams defense. And I will say, talking to some of the guys, they're looking forward to, not the starters, obviously, but they're looking forward to the opportunity to play in preseason because they know what they're doing now. Like, there's a lot of unknowns going into these practices. Like, they're not just like watching tape, like, oh, what did they do last
Right.
year? Because a team can completely change what they're doing. So it was a level of surprise, I felt like, to the way the Rams came out today.
Speaking of that passing game, it seemed like there was a couple of the receivers and Dak was connected. And not just Dak, but Joe Milton. And speaking of Joe Milton, he started off
Mhm.
real hot, right? 65-yard bomb to Jalen Brooks for a touchdown, and then and then he hit, I think, hit Cavante Turpin on a crosser route. And Turpin
Mhm.
seemed to be connecting with all three quarterbacks in this practice, and I want to talk more about that with you. But an
Mhm.
update on Joe Milton, if you will. Apparently, he may have hit his hand on somebody's helmet. What are you hearing about that coming out of practice?
Oh, I saw it happen. I saw it happen. I saw when he did hit his hand, he kind of was like shaking it and trying to, and he did throw a couple balls after it. Like, it didn't look weird or anything. It's probably just sore. It wasn't nothing like, oh, it's broken. No, because he was still on the field and talking to people and stuff when practice was over. So I just think he got it. Shotty came out and said he's not concerned about it. I think he probably just bruised it
Good.
pretty bad. There's no reason to try to push it or anything. But I agree. I thought that he came out and delivered the ball well today, and he matched their energy. He was like, "All right, like, y'all, this is what y'all want to do today, Turpin over the middle." And I think that he had a nice pass to, who was that? Who was that? It was a tight end.
If Princeton
They were
fan,
trying to find, yeah, I think it was Princeton Fan. I think he had a nice pass to Princeton Fan. I was interested in how they were using Cavante Turpin. I mean, they would motion him or they would bring him close to the line. Like, they were doing a lot of interchangeable things with him where he's touching every point in the field. And I know people was worried because his first pass that he caught, safety comes from, behind, and like he
Kitchens,
kind of
yeah.
gets popped a little bit. Like, he kind of gets popped a little bit. And people are like, oh, well, if he's going to be a receiver, he has to hold on to the ball. But I think he showed back up for the rest of practice, had some good plays. Jalen Brooks made some plays today. Quiet day from Treshawn Holden. It just wasn't in the cards for them to get going the way that they normally do, to be honest. Like, it was like
If
very
I
fast paced, very much so like,
if
let's
I
just do
may,
it.
this seemed like this is one of those situations where the veterans showed up today. Jalen Brooks is a young veteran, so obviously he had a couple connections with
Mhm.
Joe Milton. Turpin is a young veteran. CeeDee Lamb and Dak
Jalen
Prescott was
Tolbert.
was clicking, and
Yeah.
then there we go. I was gonna say Jalen Tolbert seemed like a guy that Dak was going to in the 2 minutes. So it seemed like,
Mhm.
again, when the bullets start flying, these guys have been around the block before, so they seem like I don't want to say these other guys weren't up for the challenge, but like you said, it just wasn't in the cards today, and that's cool because Saturday they'll have a chance to go in a real game and stake their claim.
Mhm. Yeah, the Cowboys, I mean, there was plenty of times where they just went 11, man. They was like, "All right, like, this is how y'all gonna do it. We can't get nothing on the ground." You saw Pickens on the left side, you have CD on the other side wide, and then they'll put Turpin right there in the slot and just navigate with him, and it just caused so many issues for their secondary when they decided to do that. So, yeah,
Uh,
it was a rough it was a weird day. Weird day.
schematically, do we see some of the similar things with the pre snap stuff, the post snap action, or are they working through that with the ops?
So yeah, man, they're still using the tight ends. Um, they're using the tight ends where they'll shift the tight ends, or they'll bring Ferg. Like, I even wrote it down. Like, they'll bring him all the way around the other side of the formation. And it's just, most of it is to get information. They did use some yo-yo type motion that you like to talk about with Turpin, bringing him inside, outside, giving him the ball on the move and stuff like that. But it did not match up to the Rams motion. I mean,
Well, they're
talking to
seasoned
the
in
talking
that.
to the Yeah, like talking to some of the defensive guys, like a Kemon Hall and those guys, like there were some gap issues because there's so much they're doing so much like bringing guys in and out and stuff. Like I just think that Dallas's communication wasn't where it needed to be. And in fairness, this is their first time really seeing this team. So a lot of guys were like, okay, I feel like in the game, I know what they're doing now, but this was just like a hit in the mouth for them in some places. And I feel like the Rams probably felt like that too after this offense was able to start getting going in the passing game. I mean, I felt like they were getting hit in the mouth every play too. I mean, Dak was just efficient,
Yeah,
efficient,
he looked
efficient, and ball
very
coming out, ball
sharp.
coming out. So they probably felt a little bit of like, dang, bro, too. So it wasn't just Dallas that was struggling at certain points.
Yeah,
Went to the defensive side of the field. Yo,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Dak looked pretty sharp. It seemed like from some of the clips I seen there, and you kind of elaborated here where the run game wasn't going, so they just said, "Screw it, we're going to spread this thing out." I saw a play where they went 5 wide with the fullback, who happened to be spread out next to George Pickens,
Mm-hmm,
I think it was, out there. So yeah. And speaking
mm-hmm,
of Dak, the only way obviously he was going to be able to get those passes off was if the pass protection held up. And kind of to take it back to the offensive line real
mm-hmm,
quick, Nate Thomas, Jared Verse. We knew this is going to be a welcome to the
mm-hmm,
NFL moment, right? Again, talking about one of the things on my watch
mm-hmm,
list. He had some moments where it was tough, which we knew because it was Jared Verse. But
mm-hmm,
aside from clips that we saw, did you have a chance to keep your eye on Nate Thomas because he could be your starting left
mm-hmm.
tackle? And it looked like there was some struggles, obviously, but collectively, how did some of these offensive linemen do individually? Terrence Steele's, right? The Nate Thomases of the world, and the rookie Tyler Booker. Have you fallen and gotten injured at work? You should probably call a lawyer.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan and Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and
Morgan and
Morgan and
Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan.
Did you know that your injury could be worth millions of dollars? Morgan & Morgan is the largest injury law firm in America, and they've recovered over $25 billion for their clients.
$25 billion? That's a hell of a lot of money.
If the insurance companies tried to lowball you, Morgan & Morgan is able to take the pain and suffering and turn it into cold, hard cash. But wait. How much is Morgan & Morgan gonna cost you? You never owe them legal fees unless they're successful.
That's right. You don't owe unless you win.
And if you don't know how to hire a lawyer and it sounds too hard, it's actually super easy. You can just go to their website, and then in a couple clicks, you can find out if you have a case. You can literally do it from your smartphone. And remember, there's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Wait, there's more than one because let me see the script. Oh, last name. Oh, okay, roll it.
You can start your claim today by going to forthepeople.com/Skywalker. The link in the description.
Yeah, so with the offensive line, in regard to Nate Thomas, I watched him pretty intently for a while. There was a couple times you saw him. He has a habit sometimes where he's patient in his body and his movements and how he does stuff, which I like that he plays under control. But sometimes when he goes against these faster edge rushers, he's just a little slow out of his stance where you're looking for him to be a little faster. I think Jared Verse caught him a couple times with that. Um, there's a couple times he took a few bad angles when they were doing some of this like screens trying to get to the outside that kind of impeded on the success of it. But overall, I thought that he was steady. His hands got outside a few times, and I didn't really like that. But man, in some of the exchanges where, you know, he's getting like a little chip, like a little help, I guess you want to say, from TJ Bass or Tyler. Like some of that stuff was really smooth with the communication with him. He didn't look out of place. Jared versus somebody that can break you down in a lot of
Yeah.
different ways. And I didn't think that Nate Thomas looked broken down. I felt like he was competing against the guy, and then Brennan Jackson, their outside linebacker, is a guy that they had rushing the passer as well. There was a quite a few exchanges that the Rams defensive line was doing. They came on some twists. They were run blitzing. I mean, they from the gun. And again, this is one of the better defensive lines in
Yes.
football. So with this young offensive line and these guys in the middle, some of that communication I felt like was lacking. Then another thing that stood out to me, and this was a concern of mine anyway, with a team that's taking an uptick in motions and shifts and stuff, was a lot of flags on the offense. Just little
What
things, just
kind? Full
alignments and
start
stuff
or?
like that.
Oh, okay.
No, like pre
Well,
snap,
is it
just
full
like
starts?
like
What's it called? Illegal shifts or legal formations? So things like that.
yes, like
Mm,
little stuff like that where guys are still learning how to line up. And then again, this is an offense that is not accustomed to doing that much motion, getting into some live action stuff. I mean, I feel like the rest was doing a little bit too much. They're trying to crack down on the shifts and like they're trying to crack down on that stuff, which pisses me off, but they are. And you can see that, right now in practice. So that was kind of annoying. But I saw a team that is in an install, and I saw a team that is not. That knows their system, that knows how they want to do things, that there's some familiarity. From the offensive line, I touched base with Terrence Steele after, kind of asked him how he felt about the day, and you could tell that he was like,
yeah.
there's some teach tape, there's some stuff we got to work on, there's some stuff we need to get better at. But they didn't feel bad about some of the pass sets and getting, just starting. They got the hang of things as practice went on, but I just thought the Rams are full speed ahead to start practice.
Tyler Booker, the
TJ
rookie.
Bass, oh oh yeah, he
Yeah,
had some come to Jesus moments. Yeah, he had some come to Jesus moments. Dealing with Puna Ford. That was the nose tackle. That was a matchup that I saw Booker get pushed back into the quarterback a couple times. One thing about Booker is that he can struggle with some of those guys that are a little bit twitchy on the inside.
sure.
Um and just staying in front of those guys. So there were a couple times that I felt like he overset and guys were able to get inside his chest and get past him to the quarterback. But for the most part, he had a decent day. The biggest problem, it wasn't the power on power. These guys weren't just getting driven off the ball. It was the angles they were taking. It was, are you sure about your assignment right here? It was, hey, this guy didn't get picked up in a blitz. It was little communication things that you just like, what the hell? And I think the quarterback realized that. They took a step back, like I said. They started like attacking. They was taking what they could get at first. And they was like, okay, we're just gonna play it like this, where they're just taking everything underneath, doing some quick outs, just trying to get some quick yardage, just get them to back up a little bit. Then from there, you start getting some of the passes downfield, some of the overs, some of the stuff that we've seen.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it was slim pickings, and this offense really had to figure out how to work through what they were doing defensively in the beginning.
I think
hmm
that's an excellent take. It seems like that's what happened based off again from Twitter. Early on, lots of struggles, and then the veteran quarterback and the veteran players said, "Okay, let us lead this way." And look, I understand
hmm
that again, the run game is going to be extremely important, but I'm pretty much going to stand 10 toes and on business about what I said, months ago and leading into this thing. Your offense is going to be led by your passing game, right? And you kind of stated this
Yeah.
earlier. Once they started throwing that thing around, it opened up the run game a little bit for you because you just don't have
hmm
the horses in the backfield yet to strike that fear, and you just don't have the reputation to be a run team just yet, I think. So it's going to be led by the passing game, but you're going to need this run game to catch up at some point. And this is a starting point for the offense in all aspects. Offensive line with communication, new scheme. The running backs with a bunch of new backs, right? The coaches and the players just getting on the same page,
hmm
and it seemed like it started to get a little better. I think Saturday is going to be a better indication for these young bucks on if they are actually grasping it when the bullets start flying. Now,
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think you get a better look at the guys in preseason, especially since they kind of know now like what
yeah.
to expect.
Let's on the other side. Let's go
Mhm.
on the other side of the ball on defense because, like you said, it's
Mhm.
tough with these joints because they're going simultaneously. So if you're on one
Yeah.
side of the field, you can't see the other. So you kind of got to pick and choose when these things happen. Like I don't know if you were on the defensive side when those great catches by CeeDee Lamb were happening, or if you were on the offensive side when Donovan Izaraku was getting some wins. But you happen to go over on that defensive side, and again, stepping back, seeing Twitter, you saw some big runs from Kyron Williams, who got the big bag, I think, from
Mm,
the Rams. And it was okay,
mm.
Cowboys, can't stop the run. And so what did you see? What stood out to you on that defensive side? And you spoke to some of those players, kind of elaborate on what they had to say about
Mhm.
their day.
Well, more than anything, again, I'm gonna say it again. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there's no expectation to know what the hell they're gonna throw at you at these practices. I mean, I went around to the defensive side when they were working red zone, caught a glimpse at some of the stuff that they were doing. I felt like a lot of the motions gave some of the guys trouble. I felt like, yeah, because we know this it's just different. Like, and I even talked to a defensive player that said like their motions are nothing like what the motions that the Cowboys are doing. Are there similarities? Yeah, but that's the foundation of a Sean McVay
If
offense. And Sean McVay was on that side of the field directing traffic, and he was
Can I guess
really coaching, bro.
what it might have felt like? And this is
Mhm.
again, I hate to always go back to this. I just remember my film study against the Falcons. When I was watching the Falcons, man, when they were motioning, it was like, oh, this is what they do. Like this is in
Right.
their DNA. They are confident in it.
Mhm.
Every single play in motion is so intent and delivered with enthusiasm per se. And again, their offensive coordinator comes from the Rams tree, and they've
Yeah.
been doing it longer than the Cowboys. Did it feel like when you're watching the Cowboys, it's like, okay, this is what we're starting to do, and when you're watching the Rams, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what we do. This is what we've been
Yeah.
doing, and this is how we
Yeah.
operate.
Yeah, I mean, it just again, they just look like an offense that wasn't in an install. They look like an offense that has been doing, like you said, has been doing this for a while, know their checks, know what they're supposed to be doing. And from a run game perspective, they attacked on the outside a lot. And I just thought that the flowing to the ball wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. I did get to catch Damone Clark. He had a couple good plays in a run. They had it as so Murray didn't get a lot of run today. They had it as they had Clark, Sanborn, and Marist when they had three linebackers, and then they would have Sanborn and Marquise Bell, who to me had a probably one of the best days out of the defense. At one point in time in practice, Sean McVay came up to him and was like, "I see you 14."
Hey,
And they were having a little bit of a chess match, like he was trying to catch Marquise Bell slipping, and Marquise Bell wasn't biting. I thought that he read really good, and this was yesterday's practice too. Thought Marquise Bell read really well in the flats in the intermediate game coming down. His communication was good, so it was hard. And then also too, I got to see a couple run stops from Winfrey. Winfrey is real. I do think that he is still, I don't know what his motor's like, and I'm not saying that his motor has to be crazy, but I do want to keep an eye on. And that was something I talked to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to ramble. I talked to the strength and
you're
conditioning
fine.
coach as well, because these guys they seem winded. They seem like this was, a tick up for them. So he was telling me that they do expect for them, going up against another team for the first time, the pace and stuff like that, for guys to kind of be trying to get their nose at them. I mean, I think Schoonmaker had a bloody nose at one point in time. I mean, dog, like the Rams came out there and was really dipping their shoulders, and that makes sense on like why Javonte Williams was like, "Hey,
All right,
we can
I'll
do that
match
too."
that energy. Yeah,
he was
that's
like, he
what
was
you
like,
want
"We
to
can do that.
see,
We can do
because
that too." So defensively, like Izaraku had a couple of pass rushes where you were just like, okay, he's a real deal. Him and Winfrey came together for a couple of run stops. I felt like the linebackers flowed as well as they could. Towards the end is when it got better, because I saw Maris Leofow reading it better. I saw Damone Clark reading it a little bit better, and then obviously on the back end, I thought Marquise Bell was probably your best DB today.
So I kept seeing it on Twitter, man. I'm a big Devontae Adams fan. When he was a free agent, I'd have still loved to get him, or they traded for. I can't remember what it was. Either way, I think he's got a ton left in the system. And so Devontae Adams, I'm seeing some of these plays, and he's just working our guys, and I'm like, well, who is it on? Oh,
Yeah.
Andrew Booth. Well, who's it on?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
Troy,
picked.
Troy Pry. So my
Yeah.
question is here: how did our Kent favorite Kyer Elam and Keemon Hall and Deron Blands, how do these guys hold up out there?
Um, I mean, like I said, I think the defense today in general struggled with
Okay.
the amount of pre-snap motion and kind of not.
Well, how did those corners handle the coverage of the wide receivers in that aspect?
Oh, no, I thought that Kyrie Elam, they're a smart offense, so they're not gonna go to that side. They're not gonna attack over there as frequently. Now, there was a couple times I think I think Elam had a reception. It was a small little dig to one of the running backs that I don't know if there was a miscommunication and who was
So you're
supposed to pass
saying
off and
they
stuff, but
attacked the mouse in the house. They
yes, they
basically
did.
said Troy Pride, Andrew Booth. Well, we're just gonna attack the guys that aren't
Absolutely.
good. Okay. Gotcha.
Absolutely. I mean,
Deron
I
Bland
I
getting
didn't
much
see
action.
oh, I didn't see a whole bunch of Deron Bland. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna tell you about something I don't know. But
Okay.
I will say that Kyer Elam, and the few times that I did get to see him, I thought he stayed with his receiver in coverage. He did have that one little slip up where I think there were, like I said, I think there was a miscommunication and like, hey, I'm passing this eye off to you or whatever the case may be. But dog, yeah, they just attacked the other part of the field, and then they also too they tried to give it to your linebackers early. They were really trying to force those linebackers to have to come out there and tackle, and with the motions and stuff, guys were just open.
What you said you spoke to Keemon Hall. What was that conversation about?
That conversation was about Kimon is funny. He's feisty. Very much so that like kind of like Jordan Lewis temperament. So that's funny to me. But he had a couple I wanted to mention him. Yeah, he had a couple pass breakups where he just read it the whole way over the middle of the field and stuff like that. So but I was talking touching base with him, and he was talking to me about the motions and the responsibilities changing because of the motions, and if guys
Mm-hmm.
aren't used to that, it can be a lot on you, and that's why there was so much space, and there was times where there were Rams receivers just wide open because guys are just like missing their assignments or they're like a tick behind, and that's the whole purpose of the system. He's one of the guys that felt like, come preseason, they'll actually have an idea of like, okay, they like to do this. Oh, okay,
If
they
they
like to
even
do
do
that.
it much in the actual games, because you know how
Yeah.
preseason is very vanilla. They, teams don't necessarily try to throw all that at you at preseason, but in a joint, yeah, they'll throw it at you in a joint because just like for us, when we say, hey man, this is our only opportunity to see guys like Pickens and Lamb and Dak get live bullets. It's the same thing for the opposite team, right? So this is
Mhm.
their only opportunity to probably throw all of this at you because in preseason they don't want to put everything out there for teams to see. So I can understand how it can feel like you're trying to drink water out of a fire hose when an opposing team comes because while you're doing installs, right? So for example, hey, first team, right? First team gets out there. Second team gets out there. This is what we're working on. Second and longs. We're doing this 4 times in a row. Second and
Mhm.
12, second and 10 or whatever, 4 times in a row, same player or whatever. Other
Mhm.
teams, they're coming in, they're not doing that. They're coming in and they're trying to work on those things that they installed, but they're doing it at their pace. So it may not be the
At their
same
pace.
pace as you. And it sounds like
Mhm.
they had trouble picking that up early on in this practice.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. It was mostly like setting the tempo. The tempo was set by the Rams very early,
Mm.
and the Cowboys didn't have a chance. Like it didn't feel like they had a chance to reset the tempo until the offense started tossing that rock around. Now Puka Nakua, Jesus. I mean, some of the stuff that they do with him creatively, where you really just don't know. Like there was a time they lined him up inside, they brought him back outside, brought him back inside, and then they gave him like a small, like it was almost like a little delay, like a little delayed screen. And then he cuts back inside, and you just like, bro, for a corner, this has to be stressful, like
Yeah.
just trying to maneuver through the amount of trash that they make you go through. And it sucks because I'm sure there's people that are gonna take this information and just lose their damn minds, but the reality is that this is a team that's been together, that knows their system, that knows their stuff, and they just look like that. They look like that for the majority of practice. Now, if the Cowboys came out and practiced against them again, like tomorrow or something, I would expect for there to be more
Sure.
fluidity in how things were going, but
Sure.
shoot, they
Hey,
just
this is why we call it eyes in the sky with 2 eye. I mean, you're a great breakdown of what happened there in practice. Before we let you go, though, we got your input with your 2 eyes. Can you give us a little bit more with your 2 ears? You talked to a lot of
Mm,
the players. You talked about what Keemon said. You talked about what Terrence had to say. You also talked to Coach Lunda Wells. It looked
mm.
like Jake had Jake's my, look, I'm a little biased. I think Jake is so good. I root for Jake a lot. He had a play where he got upfield
Mhm.
and showed off his wheels. I just think he's in for a breakout season here, ladies and gentlemen. But what did Lunda Wells have to say to you about these tight ends and about practice in general?
I just asked him on the sideline. I was like, "What's going on?" And he and I was like, "What's going on? Like, what's going on?" And he basically s- showed me with his hands is like engaging, like engaging. Like I don't think the guys were getting up like the tight ends too, who I think have done a good job blocking through camp so far. they were not directly taking on blocks in the way that I've seen them do. And that, again, very much because of all the different stuff that the Rams defensive line was doing. But I really just asked him like what he was seeing. And I thought like the hand motions he was doing was engagement, like actually contact on contact, making sure you're square, making sure, because that was a big part of why some of these runs that Dallas was having, like they weren't able to get upfield, is because guys weren't taking good angles, and they kind of got like I'm telling you, like every time a Rams player was hitting, like kind of just bumping a
Mhm.
Dallas player, you heard it.
Yeah, I
Like you
mean,
heard it. Like they
all the
they
clips I
just
saw were the Rams hitting the Cowboys. I wonder, and as we close this thing out here, I wonder if Dallas having a thud up all practice, you don't tackle to the ground nowadays. It's so much different than back in the day. They get to the Rams practice and they have this assumption that, hey, these guys are going to thud up too. And that's not
uh,
what happened. The Rams were actually hitting. And, part of me, I was thinking about this. A part of me was hoping that Shoddy came into this thing and would have. I know this sounds dirty, Cowboys Nation, but I want to set a tone. A part of me was hoping Shoddy wouldn't be like, "Hey, Hooker, go ahead, deliver that hit. I got you.
yeah,
I got you."
yeah.
You know
I
what? If
mean,
you don't want it to be
Schoonmaker got in
Hooker,
somebody's
if you don't
face.
want it to be Hooker, the linebacker, Jack, say, hey, when they come across the middle, go ahead, deliver that shoulder. Don't worry, there's gonna be no. I got you. Okay.
Mhm.
Like I was hoping there would be a part of me that he would have said we're going to establish the physicality, and it felt like the Rams did that, and it took the Cowboys some time to catch up.
Yeah, I thought I want to also mention Devontae Williams. I thought had some decent blitz pickups today. They tried to bring a
Kyron
couple of these.
Williams had one. Boy, did you see that one?
Yeah, yeah,
Oof.
yeah. I talked to them. I
Kyron
talked to
Williams.
Demone Clark. No, no, no. I talked to Demone Clark after practice. Actually,
Oh
he talked
yeah.
about some. You see what happened to me? I said, bro, yeah, I seen what happened to you, but I also see you making plays in the run. And he was like, nah,
Ain't no you see what happened to me. I'd have been like, man, I'm pissed about that
he was
shit.
pissed. He was pissed, and he
Yeah,
was like, it's gonna be all over Twitter. I was like,
yeah, and
I
it
know, bro.
was.
I said it is, bro, but it's okay. Like he was like, it's not
It's
okay.
not okay. On that field, it ain't okay. He know it ain't
He was
okay.
like, he
He
was
he
like,
want to
it's
get his
not
lick
okay.
back.
But I wanted to say I thought Javonte Williams had some a couple weren't the cleanest, but you saw the willingness, and also he read it right. He was picking up the blitzes. Also to Jadon Blue, one of the bright spots, probably the only bright spot of the run game today. I thought he was able to make the best out of the small amount of space he was given to operate with.
Yeah, I saw
He
some
can
nice
really
cutbacks.
Yes. Yeah, he can cut back really quick, get skinny, and get about 4 or 5 yards just in between the tackles. I thought that he had some decent runs today as well. So I believe that Lipke had a couple decent handoffs as well, just kind of sifting through the middle, but it was slim pickings with anything on the ground today. I will say Dallas did start to use the running backs as receivers after they were seeing like, okay, this isn't working, just trying to, run up the gut or however they were doing. They was like, all right, let's do some swing passes. Let's get these guys in space. Let's try to set up some small screens. Again, the tackles weren't amazing getting out there and kind of setting the edge and getting that stuff ready. Well, sealing the edge, but I see the, I saw the counters
I seen
to,
it.
I seen the counters to. We see what you're doing. We see that we can't really work around that much right now. But overall, I thought the Rams linebackers just came downhill and really made things hard on your running backs and your offensive line today. So,
Well, there you have it, folks. A
woo-hoo.
fantastic, exclusive breakdown from the joint practice Cowboys Rams out there in Oxnard. This is why you got to tune into the Sky and Two Eyes show, man. This is exactly why this type
Mm,
of insight, is very valuable to me. So I appreciate you. You put in some amazing work down there. Y'all don't, man. Look, can we get some fire emojis in the chat from
stop!
two?
Don't make a
No,
scene.
no, no. Your first and look, I know we gotta go, but your first training camp out there, and you went out there and you delivered. You said you was gonna go out there to put in some work, and you put in some work. I'm thankful that you were able to share that on this platform and on our show. And I think this was just step one in what this season is going to be like when the bullets start flying for this show, man. So proud of you and thankful like all hell that you were able to get out there for the nation, not just for the show,
Yeah,
but for the nation.
yeah. I'm gonna be pushing some more notes out from stuff that I saw, groupings I saw. I thought the Cowboys ran a like I said, they went to 11, they did some 12, they did some 13.
Look, she always in football mode. I love.
You know, like I was literally I'm just writing down numbers like of groupings, like what is this, and what is
Yeah.
the purpose, what are they trying to
Mhm.
do and stuff. But I'm telling you, man, when they just decide Turpin, CeeDee, and Pickens, it's very difficult for people to stop. It is very difficult for anybody to stop. So I think that might be. I mean, they might have Ferg out there sometimes too, but geez, dog, like when they
I
decide to
mean,
toss
yeah,
that
they
ball
go.
around.
Ferg is gonna be out there in that. That's 11. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
when they decided, I thought the offensive line did far better in pass blocking. Like there was a lot more synergy. The communication was better. Like I said, some of their passing, like passing guys off and stuff like that, communication I thought was better through there. But
I
also the
I just
go
gotta
ahead.
laugh because we on our way out in 2 hours. Like, hey, I still got some more football in
Oh,
me.
bro, my bad, bro. You gotta go. You
I
gotta go.
gotta
You gotta
go.
go. Oh, you gotta go. All right. Well,
Oh
I'm gonna get my
man.
notes from you.
Hey, this is what. Hey, tune in. Make sure y'all hit that like button if y'all enjoy today's show. She will still continue to drop all of these amazing nuggets via her Twitter, possibly on her YouTube. I'm not quite sure. Aisha Morrison, but man, we'll have this out for you guys, and excited to link back up with her next week for the 14th episode of the Sky and 2 Eyes show. Post week 1 of preseason. I can't believe I'm saying that, but we're gonna have the preseason week 1 recap. That's gonna be so much fun. So, with that said. For Aisha Morrison, aka 2I, I'm Skywalker still. This is Sky and 2I Show. We out. Peace.